What a mess.
It was a big day today. As we've just seen, Parliament voted to take control over the Brexit process, take it back from Theresa May. And so we're headed into a series of indicative votes on Wednesday. So as we've been discussing, these indicative votes are designed to test whether there's any parliamentary majority for any option. So we'll see a number of options put back on the table. All of these options, or many of them, have been considered in recent days and have not garnered a parliamentary majority, so it's unclear whether any of the options on Wednesday will. But here we are. We will consider these options again on Wednesday.
I think when you take a look at the positive reaction immediately following the vote in Stirling, there seems to be a school of thought that canvassing all of the options now, it's messy and it's uncertain, but perhaps it could result in some kind of framework that garners greater support than Theresa May's own Brexit deal. Do you think that's likely at this point?
You know, I'm not sure that it is. I think that you've got the hardcore Brexiteers, members of the European Research Group, who have been fighting for a no-deal Brexit. I think they are probably strategizing about how they can see that option through. They've got an opening until April 12th to try to get that done. And so I don't think it's clear that we are headed towards a softer Brexit. Now, Theresa May keeps putting that on the table as a threat. She's using it as a threat to get members of Parliament to vote for her deal, or at least that was the plan as of maybe 24 hours ago. So we'll see where they end up after Wednesday. I don't think it's going to be a smooth path towards a softer Brexit.
But this vote on Amendment A really winning by 329 to 302. And remember, last week we just saw the bill being defeated by only 2 votes. So it seems that more and more people are against the Prime Minister right now. So does her Brexit deal still have a chance of a 3rd vote?
Right. So she was planning to bring her Brexit deal for a 3rd vote this week. There was a parliamentary question about whether she could bring that same amendment, that same agreement to vote again if it hadn't changed substantially. I think we'll see on Wednesday. If there's no clear majority for any of the options that are put forth during the indicative votes, she may decide that she'll put that same agreement back to a vote. But you're absolutely right. The vote that we saw today shows that Parliament wants to take control away from the government. They're very frustrated with the government. Many people are very frustrated with Theresa May's leadership. We could be headed towards a general election in the UK, in which case you could see a Brexit extension even beyond April 12th if the EU decides that that's necessary.
Right. Talking about the general election, if the Commons actually calls for a solution that the Conservative government fundamentally opposes, then is a general election the only way out of this impasse?
Not necessarily. You could see some sort of consensus around an option that's considered on Wednesday. And bear in mind that just as there's no parliamentary majority or consensus around any single Brexit option, we may not see that on Wednesday, there's no consensus around who would replace Theresa May. She was holed up with a lot of members of the European Research Group, hardcore Brexiteers over the weekend. They reportedly posed the question to her, posed the option to her saying, we'll vote for your deal if you resign. She pushed back and said, you'll probably get a softer Brexit, which is what you don't want. As of this morning, she convened her cabinet and emerged as the party leader. So there's really no clear alternative. In the case of a general election, Conservatives fear that you could have a scenario where the opposition leader, Jeremy Corbyn, somehow prevails, in which case you're looking at a very different scenario and a completely different set of economic policies for the country. And for Conservatives, any alternative to Theresa May also fall in the camp of favoring a softer Brexit, which is what they don't want.
Sumona, we saw massive protests take place in London over the weekend, anti-Brexit protest. Organisers saying around 1 million people actually turned up. How, I guess, significant is this in the sense that do politicians need to take into the idea of holding a second referendum now more seriously, given the public backlash?
Well, the protests we saw in London over the weekend were really significant. Also, last week you had a petition on the Parliament's website that garnered some 5 million signatures, causing the website to crash. I think you're seeing a growing realization and a growing concern by the public about a no-deal crash-out. Now, having said that, there are certain procedures that need to take place in order for a second referendum to happen. Parliament would need to agree to the question being asked. As you can see from the current debate today and over the last few days and headed into the rest of the week, there's really no clear, it's very difficult for Parliament to come to agreement on anything right now.